The most powerful fertilizer on Earth costs nothing to make. What if I told you that a $2 setup, built in under an hour, could feed your entire garden every single day, for free, forever? No bags, no chemicals, no subscriptions. Just a system so simple, so ancient, so effective, that the modern fertilizer industry has spent decades making sure you never find out about it. I know how that sounds. Stay with me. Because what you're about to see will change how you grow food for the rest of your life. This isn't a backyard theory. The ancient Egyptians used a version of this system to grow food in the desert and fed entire civilizations doing it. The Romans documented it. The Chinese perfected it over 4,000 years ago. Indigenous tribes across 3 continents independently discovered the same truth. And then, in 1996, researchers at Cornell University published a study confirming what all of them already knew. This system works. Not kind of works, not works, sometimes works. Works better than commercial fertilizer and long-term soil health tests. The knowledge exists. The science is real. So why haven't you heard of it? That's the part they don't want you asking. Every year, the global fertilizer market generates over $200 billion. $200 billion. That number only exists because most people believe they need to buy nutrition for their soil. But here's the truth they buried under a mountain of marketing. Your soil doesn't need what they're selling. It needs what it's always needed, what it was designed to receive, what nature has been producing for free since before humans ever walked the earth. They didn't hide this knowledge because it failed. They hid it because it worked too well. A farmer who builds his own fertility system doesn't buy bags of Miracle-Gro, doesn't schedule deliveries, doesn't depend on supply chains or price spikes. He's free, and a free farmer is a very unprofitable farmer. So the knowledge got quieter, got labeled primitive, got buried under decades of advertising telling you that science means synthetic. But some of us kept digging. And what we found will shock you. Let me take you back to 1908. A man named F.H. King, former chief of the U.S. Division of Soil Management, boarded a ship to Asia, not for tourism, for answers. He'd watched American farms collapse, topsoil disappearing, yields dropping year after year despite more and more fertilizer being applied. He wanted to know how the Chinese had been farming the same land for 40 centuries, and the soil was still alive. What he found stunned him. The farmers there weren't buying anything. They were cycling everything. Kitchen scraps, animal waste, plant debris, water runoff. All of it was being transformed by tiny living organisms into the richest, most bioavailable nutrition a plant could ever receive. He wrote a book about it, published in 1911, called it Farmers of 40 Centuries. Within a decade, it was nearly impossible to find. Not because it was wrong, because it was dangerous to an industry that was just beginning to form. The synthetic fertilizer business was born from leftover World War I chemical plants. They needed a new market for their nitrogen compounds, and ancient composting wisdom was not part of the business plan. So they funded universities, shaped curriculums, promoted chemical solutions as modern and scientific, and F.H. King's research gathered dust. But here's what changes everything. The farmers in China that he documented, their descendants are still farming that same land today, still using the same principles, still producing food from soil that should have died 100 years ago. Because the system works, and it costs $2 to start. Stay with me, because I'm about to show you exactly what this system is, how it works at a biological level, and the step-by-step way to build it this weekend with almost no money. This is just the beginning. The system is called a compost worm bin. But don't let the simplicity fool you. What's happening inside this system is not simple. It is extraordinary biology dressed up in a 5-gallon bucket. Here's what you need. A plastic bin, the kind you find at any dollar store or hardware store for $2. Drill a few holes for airflow. Add some shredded newspaper or cardboard. Toss in some kitchen scraps and add red wiggler worms. Available online or at bait shops for around $10 for a small starter colony. That's it. That is the entire setup. But what those worms do next is where the real science begins. Inside that bin, something ancient is happening. Every single day, red wiggler worms, Eisenia fetida, for those who want the scientific name, are consuming your kitchen waste and converting it into something called vermicast. And vermicast is not just compost, it is biological gold. Researchers at Ohio State University tested vermicast against standard potting soil. The results were not subtle. Plants grown in vermicast showed up to 126% higher yields in controlled experiments. 126%. And here's the mechanism, because this is where it gets cinematic. Inside a worm's gut is one of the most sophisticated microbial processing systems on Earth. As organic matter passes through, it's broken down and re-engineered into humic acids, fulvic acids, plant growth hormones, and over 1 billion beneficial microorganisms per gram. Per gram. Commercial fertilizers give your plants chemical nutrition, fast, aggressive, synthetic, like force-feeding a body with IV drips. Vermicast gives your plants a living ecosystem, slow, balanced, self-regulating, like teaching a body to heal itself. One destroys soil over time, the other rebuilds it every single day. And the liquid that drains from a vermicast bin, called worm tea, is even more potent. Diluted 10-to-1 with water and sprayed directly on leaves, it delivers that entire microbial army straight to the plant's surface. Ancient farmers called it black gold. Scientists call it a plant biostimulant. I call it what it is, free fertilizer, made daily by a $2 bin and a handful of worms. What happens next changes everything for how you think about gardening costs, because I need to show you the real price comparison, and the numbers are going to make you angry. Let's talk about what you're currently paying. A 30-pound bag of Miracle-Gro garden soil runs about $12. A bottle of liquid fertilizer? Another $15. Specialty plant food for tomatoes, for peppers, for herbs. Separate products, separate prices. The average American gardener spends $300 to $500 a year on soil amendments and fertilizers every year. Now let's price out the worm system. $2 bin, $10 in worms, free newspaper for bedding, free kitchen scraps you were already throwing away. That's a $12 one-time investment. The worms reproduce, the bin keeps producing, the castings keep coming, the worm tea keeps flowing. In year 2, your cost is 0. In year 3, 0. For the rest of your life, 0. One system. Built in an afternoon. Paying you back every single morning. And the fertilizer it produces is not comparable to what you're buying in bags. It's better. Measurably, scientifically, provably better. You've been paying $400 a year for an inferior product. That ends today. Here's exactly how you build this system. Step by step, no fluff. Step 1, get your bin. Any plastic storage container works. Rubbermaid, dollar store bins, old coolers. Size depends on your household. For 1 to 2 people, a 10-gallon bin is perfect. Larger family, go 18 gallons. Step 2, drill your holes. Drill 10 to 15 small holes, roughly 1/4 inch, along the sides near the top for airflow. Drill 8 to 10 holes in the bottom for drainage. Place the bin on top of a shallow tray to catch the liquid gold. That's your worm tea. Step 3, prepare your bedding. Shred newspaper, cardboard, or dried leaves. Moisten until it feels like a wrung-out sponge. Damp, but not dripping. Fill the bin about halfway. This is your worm's home environment. Step 4, add your worms. Order red wigglers online. Search red wiggler worms on Amazon or check local bait shops. You need roughly 500 worms to start. They cost around $10 to $15. Do not use regular earthworms. They won't thrive in a bin system. Red wigglers are specifically adapted for this. Step 5, start feeding. Add kitchen scraps, vegetable peels, fruit scraps, coffee grounds, tea bags, crushed eggshells. Avoid meat, dairy, and oily foods. Start with small amounts and increase as your worm population grows. Bury the food under the bedding to prevent fruit flies. Step 6, harvest. After 60 to 90 days, your first batch of vermicast will be ready. Push the finished compost to one side, add fresh bedding and food to the other side, and the worms will migrate toward the fresh side. Scoop out the finished castings and apply directly to soil. Step 7, make worm tea. Collect the liquid from your drainage tray. Dilute it 10 parts water to 1 part liquid. Pour it into a spray bottle or watering can. Apply to plants weekly. Watch what happens. That's it. 7 steps, 1 afternoon, $2 and change. And from that point forward, your garden feeds itself. But before you close this video, I need to tell you something important. Something most channels won't say, because what I'm about to tell you is exactly why you should trust everything else in this video. This system is not perfect for every situation. I want to be direct with you. If you live in a very cold climate, your worm bin will need to be kept indoors or in an insulated space during winter. Worms die below freezing. If you have a very large farm or commercial growing operation, a single bin won't meet your total nutrient needs. You'd need to scale up significantly. Multiple bins or a larger windrow composting setup. And if your soil has severe deficiencies, particularly in phosphorus or specific trace minerals, you may still need targeted amendments alongside your worm castings. This system is extraordinary, but it works best as the foundation of a healthy soil program, not necessarily as a complete replacement for everything in every scenario. I'm telling you this because you deserve real information, not just excitement. Now, with that said, for the average home gardener, the raised bed grower, the backyard farmer, this single system will handle the vast majority of your fertility needs, indefinitely, for free. The exceptions are real, but they're small. Here's what I want you to understand before you go. This knowledge is 4,000 years old. It was documented by American scientists in 1911. It was confirmed by university research in the 1990s. It was used by every civilization that built lasting agricultural success. And it was quietly, systematically buried by an industry that profits from your dependency. The ancient world knew this. Science proved it. And now you know it. A $2 bin, a handful of worms, and a system that makes free fertilizer every single morning while you sleep. They tried to make you forget that the earth provides, that biology provides, that you don't have to buy what nature already offers for free. But you haven't forgotten, and now you're going to build it. If this video reached you, share it. Send it to every gardener, every homesteader, every person trying to grow their own food and wondering why it costs so much. Every share keeps this knowledge alive. Every share is an act of resistance against a system that profits from your confusion. Build the bin, feed the worms, grow the food. The rest takes care of itself.